In 1935, the world stood on the edge of chaos. Fascism was rising in Europe, colonial empires stretched across Africa, and one small nation prepared to face one of the greatest military powers of its time. That nation was Ethiopia. That aggressor was Fascist Italy, led by Benito Mussolini. This war would not just be about land. It would be about pride, independence, and the soul of Africa itself. Today, we uncover the forgotten story of the Ethio-Italian War, where spears and rifles stood against tanks and poison gas, and where the courage of one people inspired the world. To understand this conflict, we must go back in time. Italy had long dreamed of building its own empire in Africa. In 1896, Italian forces had already been humiliated at the Battle of Adwa, where Emperor Menelik II and Ethiopian warriors inflicted a crushing defeat. Ethiopia became a symbol of African resistance, the only nation on the continent to preserve its independence against European colonizers. But Mussolini, who rose to power in Italy in the 1920s, wanted revenge. For him, conquering Ethiopia would restore Italian pride and prove fascism's strength. Ethiopia, under Emperor Haile Selassie I, stood as a proud, ancient empire, but its military technology lagged far behind. While Italy prepared modern aircraft, tanks, and chemical weapons, most Ethiopian fighters carried rifles from decades earlier. And many still fought with swords and spears, yet Ethiopia had something Italy did not: the memory of Adwa, and a determination never to be enslaved. On October 3, 1935, Italy launched its invasion from Eritrea and Somaliland. Tens of thousands of Italian troops, backed by tanks and bombers, stormed across the Ethiopian border. But they were met with fierce resistance. Local warriors and militias rose up in every province. Armed with outdated weapons, they still fought bravely against a modern army. The Italians unleashed a weapon that shocked the world: mustard gas. Dropped from planes, it burned skin, blinded eyes, and poisoned rivers. Thousands of civilians and soldiers suffered horrific deaths. Despite international law banning chemical weapons, Mussolini ignored the rules, and the world looked away. Yet battles like Tembin, Amba Radam, and Mechu showed Ethiopia's courage. Commanders like Ras Malujeta and Ras Imru led heroic defenses, often fighting to the last man. Emperor Haile Selassie became the face of Ethiopia's resistance. He traveled to battlefields, encouraging his soldiers, even while knowing they faced impossible odds. In 1936, with Addis Ababa under threat, Haile Selassie made a bold decision. He would go to the League of Nations in Geneva. Standing before the world, he delivered a speech that echoed across history: "It is us today. It will be you tomorrow." His warning about fascist aggression was ignored. The League of Nations condemned Italy's invasion but did nothing. No sanctions, no military aid. Ethiopia stood alone. Soon after, Italian forces captured Addis Ababa. Haile Selassie went into exile, but his voice continued to inspire Africans, freedom fighters, and even the global movement against fascism. By 1937, Ethiopia was under Italian occupation, but the story did not end there. Across the mountains and deserts, Patriot guerrilla fighters, known as the Arbegnoch, waged resistance. For years they harassed Italian troops, proving that Ethiopia's spirit could never be conquered. In 1941, with the outbreak of World War II, Haile Selassie returned alongside Allied forces. Ethiopia was liberated, and once again, it stood free. The Ethio-Italian War left deep scars. It showed the cruelty of chemical warfare, the weakness of international justice, and the resilience of a nation determined to stay independent. Above all, it became a symbol. Ethiopia's defiance inspired generations of Africans in their struggle against colonial rule. When the world looks back at the rise of fascism, the story of Ethiopia reminds us, even against overwhelming odds, courage can echo louder than fear. This was the story of the Ethio-Italian War. A war of invasion, resistance, and survival. If you believe history should never be forgotten, share this story, because Ethiopia's fight was not only for itself, but for freedom everywhere.